regulate and work out how you're going to manage whatever it is that you're feeling at this particular moment. But it's all part of society. Nobody says it's all right and it's allowed, right, to love yourself and care for yourself. When we talk about self-care, people think we're talking about going to the spa and, you know, all those external things. Self-care is putting boundaries in place with people in your life. Self-care is not going to a job that you hate every single day. You know, self-care is being mindful about the people that you keep in your life, the things you do, the processes you engage in, the activity, all of that kind of stuff. It's all self-care. And it goes back to that integration piece. There's like so much information, a lot of it technical. There's all this stuff out there, but there's nobody holding space for people and explaining and helping them integrate, right? All this information that we have in this information age, integrating it into their lives.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, and that's part of the understanding, and that's what this 2025 is all about this year. There will be no secrets. There will be a greater understanding of us as human beings in the human experience. And that's part and parcel of being able to say, I'm grateful for this. And who do I love? Well, actually, I'm going to put myself at the top of the list. And when you can put yourself at the top of the list and not cringe, because I can see some people when they do it, they go, oh my goodness me. You can see they get all scratchy and think, oh, I don't think I should put myself at the top of the list. But actually, when you can say, actually, love me. Yes. This person, that person. Because it's natural for a mum and a dad and people with children. Yeah, you'll put your mum, your dad, your children, etc., etc. And then eventually you'll be somewhere down the bottom, you know, the dog and the cat. And then sometimes I will see they'll put their own name at the bottom occasionally. But it would be nice to see that people start moving up the list of people that they love and allow as you say, the self-care and the self-love, because they go hand in hand.
The concept of somebody writing a list like that. I mean, I think I would put myself at the top 3, just of who I love the most. I'd give myself the top 3 places in my list. You know what I mean?
Well, that's good.
You have to have that affirmed self-love for sure.
You do.
When we don't love ourselves, the type of stuff we allow into our lives. You know, Ron, you asked me a question about walking in your truth. When you don't love yourself, you cannot walk in your truth. I don't care.
For sure. I mean, I love myself a lot and I still make terrible decisions. So it's a balance for me. But 100%. I mean, I see a big difference in who I was you know, my early 40s than my early 20s. It's wild. It's completely wild. You know what I mean? You know, we often hear people say, if I could go back and tell my younger self, don't worry, everything's going to be fine.
Everything's going to be okay.
I mean, I would just take some pictures of Dan back with me and go, look at what you're going to marry. So everything's going to be fine. So
she's so beautiful. She really is. She's absolutely beautiful. She's like a model. So we've gone through quite a few areas, and I think that some of the emotions of, you know, the change. We'll have a look at, I don't know whether you have found, you know, Zanele with your clientele, they are getting caught up in lots of questions and emotions at the moment. And what I'm saying to my clients, and I'm sure you share the similar view, is that allow emotions to allow them to run their course, because that's part of this energetic vibration that we're in at the moment. As we start to awaken, we are allowed to have, as our people have been saying in the chat, the self-worth, the self-courage, and looking after ourselves and looking at things very differently. And that seems to be a very different energy this year. I noticed it changing from 2023 to now. People are finding themselves, they're finding their truth, and they're realizing, well, actually, I can step back a bit and I can allow myself to do some universal ordering, you know, say to source, you know, this is where I see myself. This is what I would like. Have you found that with your groups as well?
I'll tell you what, I have found in my own life and with the people that I coach, that the current energies have no room for inauthenticity. If you are not living in your truth, if you are not walking in your truth, you are just, it's fright after fright after fright after fright, challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge. The things we used to do before, the sticking your head under the sand, kind of just like pushing through, all of that kind of stuff. The energies no longer support that way of being. So you can either choose that you are going to do the necessary work to get in alignment with yourself so that you can flow through this experience, or you can choose to say, oh, well, I'm going to do what I always did because this always worked for me, or this is the way we've always done it, or, all of that kind of stuff. You can do that if you want to do that, but you're going to have a tough time because the energies and the times that we are living in, the energies just do not support inauthenticity.
Exactly. And that close connection. Pushed like that. And that close connection is so strong now. It's the strongest it's ever been. And you have to kind of keep moving that energy into a higher frequency. You've got to move it up. And it can make you very tired because the energies sometimes, even today, I looked up and I thought, my goodness me, is the sky that low down? Is this energy so, depressive and pushing? And it is. So to keep on pushing those energies up. And we're finding, obviously, fires, volcanoes, things like that, the weather warnings that we like in the UK, in your country, you might have something similar. But in the UK, there's like these weather warnings all over the place. Some of these, we've never had weather warnings like that for like 60 years. And then you've got now a fire
in South Africa in November.
Well, this is it.
That's supposed to be sun out.
Exactly. That's very strange. I mean, the last snow I remember was in the 70s when I was out there. I was going there to pick up my passport in the middle of Joburg and walking down, and the next minute, that was the end of that. And everybody stopped their cars, ran into the middle of the main street in Joburg, and we're having a snowball fight. And that was in the 70s. So that's a really long time ago.
No, yeah. So no. This was like now. It was in November, and I mean, we're supposed to have. This was in KwaZulu-Natal, where the sun is supposed to be shining. I mean, it's supposed to be summer all year round. So the energies have changed. Things are shifting. You cannot expect your energy to hold, right, if you are not evolving.
And that's it, because if you don't evolve, then you get left behind, and that's the issue. We don't really, and nobody really wants to get left behind. Not really.
No.
We've got some questions here, I think. Shall we move to some questions? Come on, like and subscribe, everyone. Come on, let's get this really going. I think it's a great topic today. It's a little bit different. How marrying career and being in alignment with your true soul purpose, which is really good, because sometimes they match, and sometimes you need to question, is this the career for me? Or should I be doing something slightly different? And sometimes the answer to that might be yes.
And just to add to that, Bev, I also want to say that, sometimes you do need to be in a job that you don't want to do for a season, right? Yeah. And if you are in alignment with yourself and you are in your truth, right, then it will be clear to you that, okay, I don't want to particularly do X, Y, Z, but for a particular season, this is what I need to be doing to facilitate X, Y, and Z in my life. But it still comes from that knowing of self, right, and knowing what you need to be doing and knowing what's right. That's correct.
So we've got a very interesting question here, and it's I will say, I preface it that we're not therapists and we're not clinicians, so the advice that we will give is based on our own experience. This is from Nacy. The question is, any tips on reducing a fear of the dark? Done the normal EMDR therapy for a car accident and a doggy uncle, and I'm still stuck. And they say thanks.
I've got a weird tip for this. I've got a weird tip for this, right?
Go on then.
So, go and get yourself is if it's for when you're sleeping at night, right? Go and get yourself one of those blackout sleep masks and put all the lights on in the room, okay? And lie there with your eyes open, because you'll be in complete darkness because of the eye mask, but you're not. It's a weird psychological sort of thing. And I used to have some issues with some things, and I found that helped me a lot. And I don't know why it makes any sense, because you're getting used to being in the dark, or darkness, shall we say. But you're not. It's just having that, being able to have your eyes open and having the sleep mask take away the all the light. So try that. But again, listen to the ladies. I don't know what I'm talking about. So
what do you think,
do you
Danielle?
Okay, so I mean, I used to have a similar problem, and I think I've got two things that I would say. I think the one, what I found very useful is I got a salt lamp, right? So and so the lights would be off, but I would have my salt lamp on while I slept. So that was one thing that I did. But I think more importantly than that, I had to you have to process, right, why you're afraid of the dark, what's going on. So I don't know if you've got any processing techniques, but a very easy one is to imagine the energy of your fear, call it, ask it what it is, ask it to identify itself. You can then ask it why it's there. Is it yours? Does it belong to somebody else? And then you can go back to when you first experienced that. So take yourself back to that moment in time, find out what it is, work out what it is that you need to heal around that. And once you've worked through that, you then need to take that fear or that energy, right, and through your heart center, probably like integrate it back into the wholeness of who you are. I mean, I know I went through that pretty quickly, but it's the kind of thing what you probably, maybe, I mean, it's the kind of thing I would do in coaching. So maybe if you've got somebody who knows how to kind of process things that you work with, they'd be able to do something like that with you as well, because I think it's important to get to the bottom of the actual issue and the fear, right? And to understand what it is. You could be holding on to something that is not your energy, not your fear. It could belong to somebody else. You could be holding on to something that is from another timeline.
Exactly.
You could be holding on to something that's from another timeline. You could be holding on to, something that, so you kind of do need to go through some kind of process and understand exactly why it's happening. But I love the idea about the mask.
I thought that was cool. That was cool too.
I love the darkness. I find great comfort in the darkness. I also find great comfort knowing most people don't find comfort in the darkness. It's great. Once you find that balance with the dark, though, it's great.
Yeah, there is an issue. I think a lot of individuals, it's not so much, it's not actually, I find, it's not the dark. It's what could be living in the dark that's the problem. It's the wee ones that are running around like the tokolosh and the other things, the other little things that we spoke about before, that those things that are in the dark. So I will advise to say, I rebuke you, I rebuke you, I rebuke you.
I think I'm the deadliest thing in the dark. Whenever I'm alone if I'm alone in the dark, I'm the deadliest thing in that darkness, right?
We're not all you, Ron. We're not all you. We can't all just kick bottoms across the place and just go bish bash bosh. There's a lot of us ladies out there that would not stand a chance if there was an awful person, a boogeyman in the room. We wouldn't, or even worse, a tokolosh, because they're vicious little things.